What is up, everybody? I wanted to share with you my latest PvP creation. Um, I was inspired by some pretty AIDS-like builds in the Dark Zone and wanted to make mine better. And I think I did. This build is really, really solid. It's based around the Bleed Hive and the Big Seeker Mine having maximum skill power, but also being able to do huge amounts of weapon damage. The way you're doing this is Sadist on the gun, which is multiplicative damage. I've got a Merciless. Well, this is a Ruthless, level 1. That's why my gear score is low. Procking Spark because of the 9 reds. Then we've got Unstoppable Force, which is giving me 25% weapon damage based on my armor when I kill an enemy or any of their skills or whatever, which is pretty nice. We've got Hardened for the armor. We've got Vital for more health. We've got Perfect Spotter that I'm applying with the laser pointer from the new Technician skill tree. It doesn't fit on a FAMAS, so you're going to need to use an M4 or something that, fits the laser pointer for Perfect Spotter. And then I'm also running Perfect Wicked. You don't need to run it exactly like this. You could, for instance, run Fenris gloves that are, red-yellow, and use like a Wyvern or 511 chest. Things like that can be done, but you need to try to have the 975 combo. These gloves are not very good. They only have 3 assault rifle damage, but I needed the skill power to reach skill cap, and unfortunately I've broken down a bunch of these things and never saved any good pairs. So these gloves are definitely shitty. I could do with, 100, 150 skill power, would still be able to make the job done with a different mod in my yellow slot and have that assault rifle damage higher. But my damage is not super low, 18.6k. I mean, I lied, it is kind of low. But think about this, we got 30% multiplicative damage there. We've got Spotter for the multiplicative damage there. If we look in PvP, Spotter is 12% multiplicative. This is still 30. Then we've got Spark for another 10. We've got the Perfect Wicked for another 20. And we got the Unstoppable Force. And it's really strong. I guess in PvP it's not the 2% anymore, so that kind of sucks. It's only 1% every 20,000, so I forgot about that. That's not nearly as strong as it used to be. But it's still really good. Let's see. Yeah, it should be 2% when we're in PvE. Oh, it's 1. I guess I'm tripping. It's still the same. I'm getting 25%. I'm tripping hard. They nerfed that a while ago. I'm still getting a lot of weapon damage here. You're getting 5% for every 100,000 armor. And, I'm at almost 25% here. Not quite. 24% weapon damage. Then I'm using two-piece True Patriots. And I'll go over all the gear and all the details of it. So first off, the gun. We've got Sadist for that multiplicative weapon damage. I'm using extra protected reload. You don't need to do that, but that's what I'm running. Again, like I showed, the weapon, Ruthless. You can use Merciless. It's whatever. Pairs up with your backpack, which I'm running 30,000 armor. I'm going to round it up with 20% armor mod, or 20% armor. So that's where I'm getting a ton of armor from. Spark Vital, a utility mod, which is explosives damage and skill power. I could use like a Hive Seeker and gain a bunch more skill power if I had another one of those and make up for the loss of skill power on my gloves when I get a better pair. And a red mod slot. And it has Vital. So Vital is also giving me, 75,000 health. That's a lot. Hela would probably be better because you gain an extra color and it'd be easier to use a different piece, like a different glove or whatever, because Hela has one extra attribute. But I didn't have any Hela that was even close to as good as this Alps. So that's why I'm using this. As far as mask goes, roll to max skill power. You don't need the crit chance. That could be, that could be a blue if you had a red elsewhere, like your holster or whatever. It could also be damage to elites. I've got another version of this for PvE, and the only thing I change is that I have damage to elites. I rolled the new mask that was being sold at the vendor, 555 skill power onto it. And if I'm doing PvE in the Dark Zone, I just swap to this mask. It doesn't have perfect spotter, but it's not that big of a deal. And I just do a lot more damage to the NPCs. And even if a player comes along, it doesn't make that big of a difference. It's only a 2% difference on perfect spotter, or 4%, I forget. It might be 8 and 12 or 10 and 12, I don't remember. But it's not a huge difference. That's all you really need to do to switch it for PvE oriented. As well as you could have, damage to elites on your backpack or chest. Now, the chest, this is a tougher one to get. You're going to want to have high armor. I've got, 30,000, basically, and 30% armor. Unfortunately, I don't have weapon damage on this chest, which kind of sucks. It's only 4% crit chance, which is pointless in this build. I do have some better chests with lower armor, but they rolled vital. And I don't have any good backpacks that make up for it that have hardened, and it's really important. So currently I'm wearing this. It would be a lot better if this had, 6 or 8 weapon damage. That'd be cool, or even 5 or 4, whatever. Weapon damage instead of crit chance would make a big difference. And red mod slot. You can also use Wyvern here, which is a great chest. You could use 511 here, which is another good option. You gain a red mod slot. You lose a talent, but as long as you've got hardened on your backpack, you should be fine losing vital. Gloves, kind of went over those already. These are Sokolov. I wear these because they have Perfectly Wicked, which gives you 20% weapon damage after you apply a status effect. They don't actually have to be status affected to get this damage. They've changed. They're no longer multiplicative either, unfortunately. So they got nerfed and buffed all in one. So now once you apply a status effect, for the next 20 seconds, you've got 20% more weapon damage, which is a lot. Unfortunately, mine suck. They only have 3% assault rifle on them. If these had, 12 or 13, like they will eventually, and my chest had some, my weapon damage would be a lot better. It'd probably be 20,000. But you might want to get a pair that has a little bit of skill power in them and roll the assault rifle higher. That's what I'm looking for now. But I may do with these. They did the trick. You also don't need to use these. You could use Fenris gloves if you're running a 511 or Wyvern chest. And you could also just say, fuck Perfectly Wicked and run, Alps climbing gloves without the yellow with a red. Or Alps gloves with, a yellow mod slot, depending on your backpack. If you had an extra yellow on your backpack or something. You don't necessarily need these. I needed these because I needed the 975. And they were perfect Wicked, so it worked out. As far as your holster and knee pads go, True Patriots is where it's at. They come with 2 red mod slots on the holster. Mine rolled with 32,000 health, and I rolled the skill power higher. You could put crit chance here if you wanted, if you didn't want health, but honestly, it's weird when people focus completely into just armor and, have 29,000 health. It'd be better to have, the same amount of armor and 75,000 health. You know what I mean? You never want to sacrifice your armor for health in a build like this, but it doesn't hurt to have health on your holster instead of crit chance. It's going to probably be more beneficial. But you could also run crit chance here and put, health or whatever, blue damage or hazard protection on your mask. You could swap it and not have the crit there. I don't need the crit there. It just happened to, be there. And I think it's a better option for me. Knee pads. True Patriots. The set bonus for 2-piece is 10% armor, which is really good. I have them rolled to 12% armor. And they come with a red and a blue mod slot. I found a really nice one with 5.5 total armor on it. And almost 2,000 base armor. It's my best mod. Now, usually, unless the armor roll is super high, usually whatever armor pieces you have that have, or mods that have the highest percent armor is going to be your best bet. So, if you have one that has 4% and 3,000 armor, that's likely going to be better than one that has 7,000 armor and no percent or 2%. Put them on and check it out. As well as a red mod slot. It's really important to mod your skills properly. You want to have as close to max skill power as possible. However, if you were fortunate enough to save some, like, 2800 skill power mods, you might be able to get away with having almost just as good of skills with less skill power and not need to have such high rolls. Using the Bleed Hive, it hits really hard. I have 15 charges. It's got a 16-meter range, and in PvP, it hits for over 20,000 damage. As far as mods go, I recommend a radius mod. Very, very important radius. A charges mod. The charges mod, unless it's an actual 100% mod, it's never going to give you over 15. Base charges is 8 on this, and, like, I have an 83 here. The 89 doesn't make it go up, and I don't think a 95 would. I think you'd need an actual perfect 100% charges to make it go to one more charge. So keep that in mind. And then damage. Damage is good. You could also, if you didn't want the damage, you could go with, an extra charges, and it'll last even longer or something. But the damage is pretty damn good. It's got, it doubles the base damage of the thing. So keep that in mind. As far as Seeker Mine, we've got the Big Boy Seeker. You want to make sure you use this. This is the one that hits really hard. And you hit E to target the player with it. It also applies bleed, which makes you, deal an insane amount of damage to any enemies bleeding. Now, the way I modded this is 2 damage mods and 1 skill haste mod. You could choose 2 skill haste mods and 1 damage mod. That's up to you. I don't think I have another perfect skill haste mod to put in this slot, but you can do it. You can get this cooldown down to, like, 8 seconds or 10 seconds or something like that. And that's really good. But it's going to be doing a lot less damage. Like, if I was to do that, it drops the damage down to 137 instead of 200, which isn't the end of the world. It's still a significant amount, and you would be able to frequently cast them, or whatever you want to call hitting E. It's really lame, but these things work good. But be prepared. If you use this shit, people will get pissed at you and call you all sorts of names. I do it to people that use this build. It made me want to make this build, but I think I made the build better than theirs. So, some people are wondering, why don't you use ongoing directive or whatever it's called that does the bleed damage. I forget what it is. One of the 2-piece bonuses does bleed damage. Yeah, ongoing directive. 2 pieces of this is not that good. That 25% bleed, it's just not worth it. It's not going to make that big of a difference to the damage output of your bleed, and I wouldn't recommend it. It also comes with, where's the other ongoing? It does come with double red mod slot, so it is an option. I mean, if you don't want the armor bonus from, True Patriots, this is another good option, so don't brush it off. You can increase the bleed. If you want, more of your damage from your hive doing bleed damage, you can do that. But as far as I know, that only increases the actual bleed, which is not the base damage of the hive. The hive itself does damage. Even if you are immune to bleeds, the hive can kill you. So keep that in mind. Like, it can still kill you. It still does that damage that you see. It just doesn't bleed you afterwards. So don't think that just because you're 100% immune to bleed, that standing in that hive is safe. I made that mistake and found out real quick that it still fucks me up. So keep that in mind there as well. As far as the subclass, you want to make sure you are using the new one, Technician, for multiple reasons. The gun. Oh, some people might wonder how I mod it. If it's PvP, I put crit chance on the scope. If it's PvE, damage to elites, same thing on the muzzle. I have accuracy on it. The linked laser pointer is really important. It comes on the Technician class, and anything you aim at gets pulsed. And it's pretty crazy. Let me just go over the tree real quick. It's pretty basic, but it gives 50% skill power. So you really only need 2,000 skill power to reach 3,000. It makes this build possible with basically only having the 2 yellows on the gear and then some mod slots. Potentially 3 yellows if you don't have them in the mod slots. even though you do need 5. It also does extra damage to drones. And what else is really good here? The linked laser pointer. Keep in mind you have to learn rifle damage to level 3 to get the linked laser pointer. So that kind of sucks. But what else is good here? Immune to shock and disruption of any of your deployed skills, you and your teammates. Equipping a skill grants you 15% bonus armor, and when it dies, you recover 20% armor. This is actually really good. So when you pop your Seeker Hive, or Seeker Mine, or your Hive, you're going to get some bonus armor, and when it dies, boom, you're going to get some as well. And that's really cool. You can also up 10% skill damage, so your Seeker's going to hit harder, or you can choose skill healing, but obviously you want that damage. So overall, it's really good. This is a great skill tree for it. And if you're in a hive or any of your skills, you're also immune to, shock and disrupt. But I really like the new subclass. I don't really like the rocket launcher, but it's really, really nice for these skill builds. I think I covered everything. The way you use this build, I guess, I'm not going to show gameplay of it. You can check me out on my stream, twitch.tv/Inigo Montoya, and I regularly use this build or my clutch build, which I'm also updating. I got a clutch build with insane stats now, so if you're interested in a PvP clutch build with the most crazy stats, check out my other video that I uploaded today as well. But the way you want to use this build is you probably want to have your Seeker Mine already out, following you around. It lasts a really long time. Then you want to throw out your Hive and hit E on whatever enemy you want to kill first. And your Seeker Mine will go over there and kill them. Unfortunately, he doesn't want to climb over this little wall, so rip that idea. But you can throw them. You can keep it around you. Let me reset this really quick. There we go. I'm going to change this to heroic. So everything doesn't just die super fast. Let's put this on the hardest difficulty here. You can see how much damage this actually does. It's a lot. It is a lot of damage that just this hive alone does. Oh, it's hitting all sorts of things. And then when things are bleeding, you do a ton of damage. I'm not sure why my hive, I don't know if I blew it up or what was going on there. Oh, I see. When I reset my cooldowns, it's not actually giving me my charges back of my hive. There we go. Now it is. Now we got 15. So yeah, in PvP, you throw this thing out there, they're going to not be happy. And you just let it rip. It just messes up everything. It does a ton of damage. The bleeds are ticking for, 7,000 on that. Obviously, it doesn't just melt the thing down. But, it can kill a player. It can definitely, just the hive alone can kill a player real quick. Really quick if they don't get out of it. And then the Seeker Mine itself hits really, really hard. It hits 200,000 in PvP. Now, this is not... I don't have any damage to elites on this build, so it's not, like, absolutely destroying these. But, as you can see, the damage output of this gun is also not super low when they're bleeding. Let me show you the difference in damage on this target over here. Let's make an immune target. And if you do want to make this build for PvE, it's pretty easy. You just, change that one piece. So let's, proc unstoppable force here. Then we're gonna throw this little guy here. And I'm now hitting 75,000 non-crits. 77,000. That is a lot. That's way more than my clutch crit build. 77,000 is hard. That's a strong hit when you're buffed up. And in PvP, it'll be a little bit less than that. But man, This shreds players. It's insane how well this can kill people. I sometimes out-damage face trading clutch people, which is just insane. But it's because they're bleeding, and I'm just doing insane amounts. Like, when I don't have any of these buffs up, look at this. Do I have Unstoppable Force still? What's that Rhino doing? Only 40,000. So it's almost doubling my damage, guys. It's only 40,000 here. That is crazy. Honestly, that is really, really crazy. $87 now? What was that? What was the 87 from? I don't even know. Something was doing 87,000 there. Yeah, 87 actually when I'm buffed up. It's more than double the damage. Oh. I think that's why. I think someone joined me. And it changed my damage numbers. Let's get him out of here. Get him the hell out of here. Ruining my build video. Get him out of here. But, yeah, I don't think it's supposed to be doing 87. I think it was supposed to be doing the other number. But it's still about double the damage. And that's a lot, guys. That is a lot to be doing when you have this amount of, you know, armor and health. But I think that covers everything. If you want to see it in use, stop by the stream, Twitch TV/Inigo Montoya. Don't forget to follow my YouTube channel and hit that like button, subscribe, the little alert bell. Let me know what you guys would do to further better this build, whether you prefer True Patriots or the ongoing or whatever it is. I know it's common to run into these bleed builds, but so far, every time I die to one, I inspect them. None of them are running a 975 like this. They usually have way less reds and aren't using Spark. And I think this is just a pretty awesome combo. It's not like you're just depending on your skills. You use your skills to your advantage, but you also can depend on just a lot of weapon damage. It's crazy how much this does. Don't forget to check out my other videos. I got a new clutch build that I'm putting out. It is pretty crazy. I mean, right now I have 270k health with 60 crit chance. And, I mean, my weapon damage isn't that bad either, 22,000. And soon it's going to be 280,000 health once I can gain a little bit more crit on my mask. So we'll be wearing this holster. But, yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you around.